Um, you see who it is. It's your boy Sean Spencer on this Friday. I'm here with my guy E.K. Holiday talking a little Notre Dame football. Shout out to those of you watching. Misador said Misador is our Tampa Bay Bucks guy, but he lives in Indiana. He has a special place in his heart for Notre Dame. And he said the NIL could kill Notre Dame. So it should be interesting. And I see how your face turned up. So us get right into it. One of the things you alluded to earlier is that Coach Freeman has been doing well with recruiting, and they've been able to get a lot of big name guys in. Let's kind of talk about the current roster as it is. Obviously, a lot of guys will be moving on, but then you've got some guys that are staying here, and you're not going to be left without. You're going to be good next year. So talk to me about the current roster, and then we can dive into the transfer portal and going forward.
Sure thing. Um, so there is some turnover, but the turnover isn't really super duper drastic. So obviously quarterback, big hit
Yep.
anytime you lose your starter captain. Um, Xavier Watts on the other end of the field, same thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
anchoring you down on the opposite side of the field. Benjamin Morrison, big loss. With that said, though, he didn't play for most of the season.
Hmm.
So it's kind of one of those, yeah, we lost him, but we really didn't have him either. So
Yeah.
fortunately, some other dudes at corner really stepped up. A couple super seniors, the interior defensive line have left. Um, Really, as far as production, those are really the ones that have left. So
Okay.
if we're talking the big question in the room, which I'll let you poke and prod about that when you want to, but obviously quarterback is going to be the uh, the big question about what's going on at the
Yeah.
moment. Running back, absolutely loaded. We probably, in my opinion, a little biased, have the best running back in the country in Jeremiah
Okay.
Love.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Since Omarion is leaving in the draft, of course.
sure, yeah, he
Yeah.
was he was the one I was worried about for sure.
Tar
Uh,
Heel, baby.
uh, Jadarian Price behind him, he had a
Yeah.
fantastic year coming off Achilles from 2 years ago, so he's rounded into form. And then the room behind them has gotten absolutely stacked with talent. Offensive line, we didn't have any experience going into the year last year. Um, it's going to be really interesting this year to see where different players shake out because there's a lot of returning experience from
Hmm.
what was gained throughout the year last year. In camp, there's a bit of a few injuries that are making it a little harder to figure out exactly where some guys are going to land. But we had a freshman All American play left tackle. He was a true freshman, undersized, um, 3-star kid out of Georgia. He jumped in for our projected top player or top tackle after he got hurt before the season. He made the freshman All American team.
Wow.
Um, we probably have, depending on how it comes out, the best two guards in the country, at least the best tandem in the country, maybe
Yeah.
the best number one and number two guard. Um, and then we have a really, really steady player on the right side. Not to mention, we recruit the line really, really, really well.
Yes.
Go look at the NFL and look at those contracts. It's very Notre Dame friendly.
Oh
Um,
yeah. All those cornbread white boys in the Midwest. They congregate in that area.
that's right. The tight end, wide receiver, we lost a great tight end. Um,
Hmm.
we lost some experience at receiver through the transfer portal mostly, but kind of similar to Benjamin Morrison. Um, how much you lost is kind of hard to tell because the production wasn't necessarily there, and that
Right.
necessarily due to their fault. But
You
some
weren't
good.
passing that much.
And then, go ahead.
Oh, I said, yeah, you weren't passing that much.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We did have a bit of a star pop out in the playoffs the last couple of games with Jaden Greathouse really showed out.
Hmm.
We have the best receiver from UVA from the last couple of years coming in, so hopefully he makes a dent. There's a lot of talent there. I don't know that there's no Jeremiah Smith um, lurking, um, or Ryan Williams.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of talent. It's just a matter of once we figure out who's facilitating, if they're going to get it there.
Yes.
On the defensive side of the ball, um, secondary looks freaking awesome.
Hmm.
Yep, Mike Mickens. If you like college football and it's something you want to pay attention to, like the rising stars of the sport, pay attention to what he's doing recruiting, as well as what he's doing coaching guys on the field. Um, the corners he had at Cincinnati having pretty good careers. Um, and
Hmm.
what he's doing before he came to Notre Dame, we struggled at corner specifically. We struggled to recruit them, and we struggled to develop them.
Oh yeah.
Um, so um, we're pretty loaded there now. When Benjamin Morrison went down, we had another true freshman step up, um, Leonard Moore out of Texas, and true freshman. He, depending on what you think of Pro Football Focus, but they say he's the best returning corner in college football as a true
Ooh.
sophomore.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
yep. On the other side of the ball, or other side, Christian Gray, and then safety Adon Schuler really stepped up. So
Mm.
hoping that he kind of steps in, just take some of that pressure off that the legendary Xavier Watts had. And then you throw in some transfers too. So Jalen Stroman out of Tech, really
Hmm.
really good player when he's healthy. Of course, that's the key word, when he's healthy. And then one of the few nuggets to kind of slip out of camp, um, which has been really quiet this year of what's getting out, is the Alabama transfer,
Mm.
uh, Devonte Smith, who was recruited as a nickel, and he's going to play some safety too. They think they've really found uh, a stud when it
Oh wow.
comes to him. So
Okay.
it's pretty exciting, and it's the best defensive back class, the freshmen that have come in, that I've seen in my lifetime as a Notre Dame fan. So some absolute freaks: Dallas Golden, Jadon Blair, Creed Thomas. So
Hmm.
be really fun to see how they mix in. Linebackers, we lost the most experienced linebacker in Jack Kaiser, who was there for 18 years.
Hmm. Collecting
But
Social Security.
exactly, um, heck of a player. But
Yeah.
we're now hitting, what is this? So Marcus was in year 3. So we're now getting the 4th year of his linebacker recruiting,
Hmm.
which has been absolutely insane. Drake Bowen, 5-star. Jalen Sneed. I know a few people in different chats have gone, "Oh my goodness, that guy! He's finally getting his head on straight and is playing controlled." Um, we have Kingston, um, and then we got a couple freshmen coming in. Madden, um, Ferrioma. I can't say his last name right yet. I'll get it down by second week of the year.
Right.
Um,
You're
yeah,
hearing enough.
Jaden Osbury. Um, So these are all guys that were highly touted for us coming in at linebacker. Not to mention some of the freshmen coming and rising sophomores and juniors. A defensive line, um, interior is experienced.
Hmm.
I don't know if there's any showstoppers, but there there's a number of quality players there. We did get a guy from Louisville who was pretty good to play on the interior, so pretty excited about that addition, just to see where it shakes out depth wise. But I think we have 4 or 5 guys who can play on the interior, and really not be too concerned.
Yeah.
On the edge, that's where the fun starts. So
Hmm.
that's where we have Mr. Bryant Young's son. He is the
Mm-hmm.
one who frustrating the heck out of you at the beginning of the Georgia game, and
Mm-hmm.
had
Mm-hmm.
me sitting there yelling back at you, going, "Keep sending them, keep
Right.
sending.
Don't
Let
quit.
them
Keep coming.
let them know he is here."
Yep.
Uh, so, and then last year, one of the other things that I don't know a lot of people know, like we were devastated by injuries throughout the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were our 2 best pass rushers to begin the season were gone very early in the season. So Jordan Botello and Boubacar Traore. Boubacar was looking dominant to start the year. We lost them to ACLs. So both are expected back. Um, Josh Burnham, and then of course we've got some promising developmental guys coming in on the defensive line. Throw in
Yeah.
a kicker from your hat right there. He was a pretty good kicker. He's got a big
Mm-hmm.
leg.
Yeah.
Um, and then we've got an
You're
Aussie
welcome.
punter who's a monster, or
Mm-hmm.
will be a monster, if they kind of trust him and let him loose. Last year was his first year ever punting, so um,
They come
that
out the womb punting on Aussie. All those Australians, they.
it's impressive, man.
Oh yeah.
And then quarterback. So we've got the guy who's been around for a little while, Steve Angeli. He's popped in some moments. He hasn't done anything that really scares you from him. He
Mm-hmm.
won the bowl game for us. He's probably like the least upside, least
Mm-hmm.
downside guy,
Yeah.
right? Um, then we have Kenny Menchie. He's a big arm, um, but highs and lows uh, from what we've seen thus far, whether it be the spring game last year or from uh, from practices that it
Yeah.
comes up. And then the guy that I've
The,
wanted to
the
talk about.
legacy.
Yeah, so the Michigan legacy,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. CJ Carr. So probably easily most highly touted quarterback we've landed since good old Jimmy Clausen.
Oof.
Um, so not Jimmy Good, but he's very well regarded. Um, Obviously, a great pedigree with his dad, having been a quarterback at Michigan, his grandfather being a national championship winning head coach for the University of
Mm-hmm.
Michigan. Um, the the reads on him so far, so that he would be a redshirt freshman going into
Mm-hmm.
this year, are that processing what's going on, he is by far the best of the group as
Okay.
far as reading defenses, making the right reads, all that good stuff. And he's the most consistent. So to me, that screams writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know until you know. So I hate to say that I have a favorite or a guy I want to win because I root for all these guys, but I
It's
really
kind of
want to
yeah.
know. I want to know how fast the Ferrari goes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. There's part of you that would love to get back and play Michigan somewhere down the line and beat them with the legacy child, the coach that has given you so many tormented you over the years to beat him with his grandson. Oh yeah.
absolutely. And nothing would be better than to get to talk to Alex Luce more
Oh
about
yeah.
and seeing Lloyd Carr wearing, that Notre Dame hat to cheer on his.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but there's a bunch of other fun legacies on the team too.
Mm-hmm.
So Jerome Bettis Jr. joined the team
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Nice.
Plexico Burris' son,
Oh.
Elijah Burris.
Oh.
Um, Obviously, Bryant Young's son, Bryce,
Mm-hmm.
and then a whole bunch of different guys who played at Notre Dame before. So, and then we've got some interesting ones coming in even next year. Um, Former Panther stud Thomas Davis. So there's a lot of people who there's a lot of people or a lot of ex NFL players that see the value and they see it a bit different with getting the education and going to a place that'll develop you.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so typically the parents of ex professional athletes, um, look kindly upon the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Oh yeah. And they
Um,
want a they
it's
want a more stable situation, and I think that's what
yeah,
they got there.
yeah, and I mean, how many of those guys played with guys who were great who never made it in the NFL or got injured,
Right.
and they know what it's really like to be able to get to
Mm-hmm.
that level, succeed and sustain, and how rare it is to actually do that.
Oh
So
yeah.
those parents really understand the value of it. Throwing back to the NIL,
Mm-hmm.
Notre
Too
Dame's pretty
good.
competitive in NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not $20 million Michigan, but or not Michigan. Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah. Or the Ohio State.
No, 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 no. I was saying Ohio State at first, and
Oh
then I
yeah.
said Michigan by accident, and then I
It's
remembered
true though.
Michigan gave their quarterback $11 million.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so both of them,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's similar to what Ohio State does. Most of it is about rewarding the guys who are staying in the program, and then
Right.
supplementing with players that are transfers that have proven to be good. There is not. We aren't playing the games. We've pulled out of a lot of recruitments for the bidding wars for incoming freshmen.
Yeah.
So come, everybody's getting something. Everybody on the roster is doing well.
Okay.
Everybody, top to bottom, even the
That's
walk-ons
big.
last year were doing
Wow.
well.
That's huge.
Um, so come, prove who you are. Sam Hartman did really well. Riley
Mm.
Leonard did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin Morrison did great. So did
Oh
Xavier
yeah.
Watts. A couple of those were homegrown. A couple of those were guys that we brought in. Um, so yeah, it's not the open bank, but it is certainly pretty competitive.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it shows. It absolutely shows. And guys are loyal. They want to stay there. And it shows. Shout out to my buddy Jared Harmon saying who's running as QB number one. We talked about it right now. It looks like QB competition. See Steve Angeli, CJ Carr, son of Michigan great Lloyd Carr, and Kenny McKinchey. Also, I see Anthony Rizak on here. Is he in the
He's
mix?
he was a preferred walk-on, so
Okay.
um, he won't be in the mix. And then Blake Herbert, who we stole from Clemson before signing day, he's true freshman. They like him a lot, but he's not really in the fold for the.
Not really in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just got to campus, what, 2 months ago?
Oh,
So
oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's
yeah,
just happy to be there. He just happy to be
yeah,
there.
we'll cut him a little
Yeah.
slack.
Oh yeah. But so I mean, look. Let's be honest. I mean, one of the reasons I think Riley Leonard worked was because what Notre Dame has been at least over the last couple of years. You have a strong run game, great running backs, solid defense. And you've seen that's what was able to work. So it might give whoever the quarterback is a little bit more time to kind of get acclimated with, you know, the offense and get them going. You talked about the transfer portal. You said there's a couple guys you brought in. Is there any races that you're interested in? Is there anybody else like that you're looking at or anything of that nature?
Sure. So most of the guys, I think we kind of mentioned are like supplementing, positions of need. So expect Devonte Smith, not the Heisman winner, but the defensive back from
That's
Alabama.
what I thought at first. I thought the Heisman. I was like, what?
to be a good nickel based on everything we're
Mm,
hearing. Jalen Stroman, I expect him to at minimum compete for time. He's injured, so he's not practicing this spring.
mm,
I remember, I think it's an ankle that's still healing.
mm,
Um, on the defensive line, so we brought in two uh, defensive line transfers. The one from Louisville, kind of expecting big things for him to be in that four-man rotation in the interior. He was
yeah.
really productive at Louisville. And then we brought in Elijah Griffin, USC transfer. So we have forgiven him of his sins for going to Southern Cal, and
The enemy, right?
that's and so he's one of those high ceiling, raw skills kind of guy.
Mm,
So we're gonna have to see, kind of where he ends up. Um, Hopefully he makes a jump. It's going to be hard because there's a lot of good depth on the defensive line. I can't tell you that there's no Joey Bosa right now,
mm,
but there's a lot of really good, solid players on the defensive line. Um, as far as that's defense. Offense. Um, Wisconsin receiver transfer Will Pauling. Um, Interesting thing about him is our wide receiver coach was his wide receiver coach a couple years ago. So
oh,
he
nice.
obviously he brought him in for a reason. But the depth and the competition at receiver right now is so in flux. There's a
Yeah,
ton of talent. We just don't know what or who it's going to shake out, other than we know a couple guys. And then Malachi Fields was our gem of the transfer portal. I think
yeah.
past 2 years, I want to say he was around 55, 60 catches, probably about
Okay.
800, 900 yards each of the
Yeah.
last two seasons. If you look at our last few seasons, we don't have anybody near that. UVA also was not very good the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
he was doing that, um, without much help around him. So you can look at that a couple different ways. You can
Mm,
look at it as them forcing the ball to him, or you can look at it as that's a guy who's making plays over and over against teams that can double him. The encouraging thing for me is we've played him. I have a feeling that Mike Mickens probably said, he probably, as the defensive backs coach, said,
get
you
him.
know what? Yeah, yeah. He gave me some heartburn. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he might be a good receiver to get. And with that collaborative recruiting, I would not be surprised at all if they included Mike in on those conversations. Um,
I believe
got
it.
a tight end from Arkansas. Don't really expect a ton from him. Um, and then some other guys here and there that are a little less notable, but will probably help on special teams, that sort of stuff.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Yeah, man. That transfer portal was popping, man. I know you guys got, a lot of little bit of this, a little bit of that out there, but we'll see how many of them actually make an impact. You also alluded to it now being spring. You got the spring practices, things of that nature. Some of these guys are, getting on campus and whatnot. There's been a lot of talk, and we talked about it on when we did the college football update little roundtable we did. We talked about how some of the coaches are trying to, some of the coaches don't want to do spring games because they don't want, other coaches and teams being able to spy on them and potentially poach their players and get them to transfer. We saw, um, Dion and the was it the
Fran
coach
Brown.
of Syracuse, Fran Brown, yeah, the coach of Syracuse coming together, potentially trying to talk about doing a scrimmage or something like that. Where does Notre Dame's spring game, where do they stand right now?
Yeah. Format wise, I'm not completely sure. That hasn't come out exactly what it's going to be. I do know that Marcus has alluded to there will be some changes as far as, how exactly the game itself is done.
Mm,
Uh, so that hasn't come out detail wise. yet. Usually that comes out a couple days beforehand. He definitely wants to keep it. I know as we've talked before, he really values the being able to get people into the stadium that may not always have that opportunity to do so.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's not a Michigan size venue, not that it's small, but there's 80,000 instead of 77,000 instead of, these Big Ten stadiums. And, for a good game, it gets pretty pricey even for an average game
Oh
to
yeah.
get to Notre Dame Stadium as well.
I mean,
The other thing,
everybody wants to see touchdown Jesus. I mean, that's a
yeah,
destination.
but also, I mean, think of how many recruits come to the spring games. It's a
Hmm.
spectacle. Not only do they get to see, yeah, they can go to a practice, but how often do they get to see, you know, 20,000 fans show up for a practice? That
Right.
that
Right.
kind of stuff has impact.
Hmm.
Um, so it's I would hate to see spring games disappear. I know we talked about format wise, I don't really care. Go
Hmm.
let uh, go let CJ throw the ball to nobody, and
Yeah.
I'll eat every throw up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll,
No
every,
flag though. I'll draw the line with flag football. I don't
yeah.
want any flag
Oh,
football.
I'm with, especially if I got a guy tearing ACL playing flag football.
Right.
I will lose.
Exactly. No.
Um, so yeah, and especially this year, I know I've mentioned it a few times. Like I am not getting as much info as I have in past springs, which in some ways is kind of refreshing,
Yeah.
and in other ways is kind of like, well, I don't have my fix. Like
Right. Yeah.
I'm itching over here.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so at least let me see these guys go run routes on air, and all right, that'll at least help me simmer down until
Give me
July.
something.
Report back
All
to
right.
camp. Yeah.
Give me something out there, and at least like from years past, you there wasn't a competition. There was Riley Leonard was here. We knew, or Sam Hartman was here. You knew it was that guy. I don't think even when you had Cone, there wasn't a competition there, was it?
Just in respecting the other guy, it was a
Oh, yeah.
competition. So there's
Yeah.
only
Right.
there's only been 1 year in the last four that was a outright competition. So
Right.
that was the year in between Cone and Hartman. So
See, so now you have that. Now it's gonna maybe give a little fire, and you want to see that. Now, I mean, I want to watch. I want to. This is when I look at CJ Carr. That's your Arch Manning. That's the legacy, the whole rivalry with Michigan. Like I want to see, can he take over, or will you guys be in a Michigan situation where it's like you have three quarterbacks, you don't really have any quarterbacks? Like what?
nah, that
You
ain't
know, Oh, you sure about that? I mean, well, first of all, we want to see it. I want to see them
happening.
compete. So I agree with you about the spring game. But
Well, I
you you
think at
you
minimum,
confident?
no, well, at minimum, Steve Angeli is the starting quarterback, and I've
Yeah.
seen him win games. I've seen him be able to throw the ball further than 5 yards. I don't know if the Michigan quarterbacks could do that last year.
Mm,
So,
ooh,
uh,
mm,
that's not even hate. That's not even a
mm.
shot.
It's not. It's not. It's truth. It's
The
truth.
Michigan quarterbacks looked like Mark Brunell in his last year, like just throwing 5 yard checkdowns because he
He
couldn't
had
throw it 10 yards.
God,
Um,
Mark. He had some great years. Yes, but I agree.
he had some great throws to Santana and
Yeah.
about it. But uh, so if that's the minimum, I'm not saying that's going to be great, but it's serviceable.
Yeah.
So I think you can win 9, 10 games with what I know Steve Angeli can do.
Yeah.
Uh, but we don't want to win 9, 10 games. We want to win 13 to 15 games. So
Yeah.
that's where they're rooting for, the guy with the pedigree comes in. So
Mm-hmm. and you
ultimately I want
almost
the best guy.
you have to win. Don't you have to win 13, 15? You can't afford to only win what 10 because you don't have the luxury of the conference championship, right?
Yeah.
Or what is because even with your record this year, you guys only you were what fifth or where'd you end up?
So we what did we end up with the sixth? The highest we could get was fifth.
Yeah,
But I think how the whole seeding thing worked out. Like, no, we didn't even get fifth. I think we might have been like seventh.
where were you? Was it
Penn
seven?
State 9. Yeah, because it was like 7 and 9. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm pretty sure it was seventh.
No, it was 7-10. You in
Yeah,
Indiana wasn't it 7-10 game?
there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The and that but that was detrimental, right? Because
hmm
we were the fifth ranked team, or even the fourth at one point, and
right.
there was still no way you would get beyond being the fifth, but then not playing in the conference title game. Um,
Mm.
Knocked us back a
Which
few spots,
I'm
kind of.
I'm okay with that because I thought and I'm pretty sure you agree with me on this that there was nothing like that atmosphere South Bend at night in the cold hosting Indiana. You know what I mean? You don't get that if you're one of the four buys where you automatically have to play in one of these different destinations. This was home field advantage for you guys, and it showed throughout most of that game, through all the game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. Like, and hey, we have the first ever home playoff win, which is where it should be, in my opinion, for college
Mm-hmm.
football.
Yeah,
Um, I will still never agree with the people who say that playing in this bracket, but having a bye week, but it's a harder pull. Um, like who was it? Texas. It was like, oh, they have a harder route, or not Texas, because Texas played. Who did Texas go into after game one?
they Arizona State was no.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Texas, Arizona State. Then they went.
Yeah,
They played. Was it Ohio State? Either way.
yeah.
So, like Ohio State was in the second round, and that's where they
Well,
started.
oh yeah. When you hear
And
about Oregon,
yeah,
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 Ohio
and,
State. Dude.
and people were saying that, oh my gosh, this 3 games is harder than 4 games, and I don't really care what it is. 4 games is 4 games, man,
It is. Yeah,
and it's a game the week beforehand.
right.
Uh, so yeah, are you a little more if you survive? Are you a little less rusty for the second round? Sure, but that other team has fresh legs. So, and again, winning 4 games, geez, man, that was a gauntlet
Oh yeah.
of a month, um, game after game after game after game. Um, so much so interesting tidbit, um, with how late the players went into the season,
Mm-hmm.
uh, with the playoff format. They really like changed up depending on how many reps guys had and stuff like that, their availability for spring.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, they took into account that, hey, this guy played 1,000 snaps this year, and he played into January, almost February. Um, he's going to maybe not roll back in to all the football stuff until maybe
Yeah.
2 weeks after some of the other guys. So they did that with a lot of individual players. I'm not sure what I think about that, because part of you wants them to be with the team, but the other part is like, well, you also wear and tear does count. So
Yeah, it does.
what's the balance with that?
It definitely counts. Shout out to Will and Kramer in the comments saying Gamecocks, Gamecocks. This
Heck yeah,
guy.
man.
No, yeah, no, yeah. That now that you have, and a lot of it, that's a great point because with this tournament, especially if you do have you know the unfortunate having to play 4 games, you're taxing that, topping that, putting that on top of 11, 12 games already. So you're playing then, and now you're almost playing an NFL season.
Yep.
And the wear and tear is something that teams and coaches got to worry about, and especially those teams that are doing it year after year after year. I mean,
Yep.
we talk about Georgia and how great they were, but I mean, yes, half the team left. They went to the pros and things of that nature. But you're playing, you know, 6, 7 months out of the year, and then you're getting a quick little break, and then you're doing it again back to back here. That takes a toll on these kids. You know what I
100.
mean? I mean, that's what they are. So,